I made this video 3.5 years ago. As a matter of fact, it was the very first video on this channel. Hi, I'm Pete. Welcome to my workshop and this channel. I've got a lot of great projects coming up, but before I can get to them, I gotta organize this shop a bit. Geez, I look scared to death. I used some royalty-free music in this video, and now after 3.5 years, it's got a copyright claim on it. I fully have the right to use this music, but I started to look at the video, and the video has some problems. There's parts of it that stretch on too long, and now that I've used this rack for 3.5 years, I've got some different opinions about it I thought I'd share. So rather than fight the copyright claim, I thought I would just re-edit the video and update it for 2023. This shop is very limited on space. As long as everything's in its place, it's fine. But the minute a project starts and things start getting moved around, it gets tight real fast. I've been using these Harbor Freight storage cases for a long time. I really like them. You can mix and match the bins between cases to get just the configuration you want for the parts you're trying to store. They're also great value for the money. When this video was originally recorded, these would regularly go on sale for $5.99 with a coupon. Nowadays it's $7, but I think it's still a really good value. The problem is, I don't have a good way of storing them. Right now I've got them stacked 2 rows deep under my workbench, and it doesn't matter which project I'm working on, it seems like the case I always need is in the back row on the bottom. At the corner of my workbench, I have a spot that really can't be used. Well, it's being used now. It's blocked in on 2 sides by a wall and butts up against my tool chest. It just ended up being a catch-all spot for assorted things. I had 36 inches of height available in this area, and I intended to use every bit of it. It was a beautiful day when I built this thing, so I took advantage of the weather and put my table saw out under a shade tree and knocked the whole project out in a day. I'm going to be using 3/4 inch plywood for the sides and the center divider. The sides will be the full height of 36 inches and 13.5 inches deep. The center divider is going to fit inside the cabinet, so it only needs to be 35 by 13. For the top and bottom pieces, we're switching to 1/2 inch plywood. They're going to be 34 by 13.5. I'm going to use a Craig jig and pocket screws to assemble this cabinet because I have them on hand, but it really could be assembled using any number of different methods. I'll leave links down below in the video description to all the tools and supplies that were used in this project. I'm swapping out my saw blade for an 8-inch dado blade to cut 1/4 inch slots for the shelves. I'm going to cut dado slots every 2.5 inches for the shelves. The first dado on each of the outside pieces is at the 3-inch mark to account for the material thickness of the bottom. Then it's just a matter of adjusting and cutting all the shelf slots on both sides. The center divider doesn't need to account for any thickness, so it starts at the 2.5 inch mark and is cut on both sides. For the assembly, we're going to use tight bond glue and 1-inch pocket screws. Nearing the end of the cuts, we need to make a piece for the back. It's going to be cut from 1/2-inch plywood, 34 by 35 inches. And we're finishing up our cuts with 24 shelves cut from 1/4-inch plywood. All those dado cuts release some stress in the plywood and cause the side walls to bend out. I fixed this by drilling a hole in the center shelf slot and running a 1/4-inch threaded rod from side to side. This requires the center shelf to be split in half. 1/2 is going to go on each side of the rod, but it adds an incredible amount of stiffness to the rack. It doesn't seem to interfere with the shelves. Finally, the back was installed with glue and more screws. Then a coat of stain to seal the grain, and the project was done. I'm really happy with how this project turned out. I use it on almost a daily basis, but just like every project, there's always little things about it you'd like to change. Lowe's, and I'm sure other places, sell a material that is whiteboard on one side and chalkboard on the other, and it's a little bit less than 1/4 inch thick, and it's also, in my opinion, more dimensionally stable than 1/4-inch plywood. I used it when I created the enclosure for my 3D printer, and if I had to do it again, I would use that for the dividers. It gives you just a little bit extra clearance because it's a little bit thinner, and I think that that would be a good change to make. Other than that, I'm really happy with it. It's done the job for 3.5 years, and I've rearranged some things. I like that the dividers can come out, that I could change my complement of storage cases. As it worked out, I ended up with just 2 large ones at the bottom, and then the smaller ones up through here, and then I even have some of the split ones where you can fit 2 of these in one slot. So it's worked out really great for me. At the end of the day though, I still think Harbor Freight is missing an opportunity. It seems like every week on YouTube, somebody's uploading a video where they had just seen the Adam Savage video about his Sortimo system, and they were lamenting the fact about how expensive those are, and then they would go on to build something similar to this. And now this project was just a means to an end for me. I wanted to get on to more elaborate projects, but before I could do that, I needed to clean my shop up, and this was the result. Had I been able to go to Harbor Freight and buy a rack like this to hold their cases for somewhere around $150 or less, I would have just done that and then taken the time it took me to build this rack to start my projects. So thanks for watching this update, and if you want to follow along with all of our projects, click that link to the left. Come along for the ride.